I want to talk to you about leadership. I'm going to try not to laugh. I want to talk to you about leadership. And there's different types of leaders, leaders who are good at communication, responsibility, influence, all those different things. And you leverage that into leadership. So when you talk about sports, it's very similar to politics. You've got to have those same traits. And the 80s and 90s, I grew up with some hardcore sports. One of my favorite players of all time is Bernie Kosar. He was the quarterback of the Browns back in the day. In the 80s and 90s, they didn't have all these rules to protect the players. So Bernie would throw the ball, and literally 3 seconds later, a linebacker would just unload on him. Nowadays, he'd probably be ejected. Like the ball's long gone. And he would just get Brett Favre, all those quarterbacks back in the day, Dan Marino. They took so many hits, they didn't know their name by the end of the game. Basketball was tough too. They had fights like every game. You can't have a fight anymore now. They had fights all the time. So the leadership naturally back then would probably have to be a little different than it would be right now, right? Let me show you. This is how I saw the headline. I saw this headline on my Google News feed. It said how Xavier McDaniel, he was a player for I knew him from the Seattle Supersonics, also with the Knicks, went around the league for a while. Not a great player, not a bad player. He could drop 20, but he was more of an enforcer. Think like Chris Chelios in hockey. So how does somebody like that in the 90s exert dominance over other alpha males? So we're not talking about beta males like Andrew Yang. We're talking about a locker room full of many alpha males. And I love Andrew Yang. It is what it is. This is what the headline I saw. So I read it and I'm like, I was almost asleep. And it said, he often walked around the locker room fully, and in my mind, I'm like, what ER word could that possibly be? And you're mentioning a locker room? I'm like, is it emergency? Is it a word I don't know? My vocabulary is not that great. No, it is what you thought. It was what it was when I clicked on the link. I was like, wait, what? How Xavier McDaniel established dominance on his team. He often walked around the locker room fully in charge. I've been in a lot of locker rooms in my life, going back to like middle school, high school. I played high school football for 1 year. I've been in the locker room. I know locker room talk, all this stuff they're talking about with Rogan and looking at people's past. Do you know how much crazy stuff you would find? You look in somebody's locker room past, the crazy, insensitive things. I've seen a lot in the locker room, snapping towels, fights, stuff you don't want to know. I never heard of this in my damn life. He was fully in charge. He was the enforcer. There are different ways of displaying leadership. I'll say that. And dominance on an NBA team. Some players are quiet. They lead by example. Others try to be more vocal and expressive. I guess you could say Xavier McDaniel was more expressive. I don't know if I can put this on the screen, but what's up, casual goats? I would say that Xavier McDaniel would fall under the expressive category. Which traits? I I don't know. I don't know what trait. This is from a book from Chris Herring called Blood in the Garden, which I will be reading. McDaniel I'm sorry. McDaniel prioritized manhood. I would say so. Before something happens, I'm done. I'm done with this topic. What's good, everybody? I gotta change the topic. I had a couple more slides, but there's no need.